Welcome back to the 19th Fairway Show. We've got Will Dog and myself here tonight. Missing our Texans, our guys who have been out recently to Colonial. We'll talk a little bit about that as we get further into the show, making our picks. We obviously want to start out with the recent major over at Southern Hills Country Club, the PGA Championship, won by Justin Thomas, claiming his second major and his second PGA Championship at that, coming in a playoff. What a performance on Sunday, but really the whole weekend with the bad draw. He started with, what was it, early? That was
late early was the bad draw, yeah.
Worst of the two, and he fired quite the amazing 67-67 Thursday and Friday to get the brief lead following two rounds. But overall, a fun week. We had the Tiger withdraw. That was sad to see. Hopefully he's doing well, getting better. Lots of stuff played out over a major, as you would imagine. Rory, who went -5 in round one to take the early lead, ended up only needing to go -1 through the rest of the week to have won, or even to have made it into the playoff. Couldn't do that. So obviously the course was playing very tough. Fun course, maybe a little bit too tough. I know we were just mentioning some of those par threes being a little bit crazy. All four were over 200 yards. Is that right?
11 was like 180, but it was into the wind, so it was playing like 200-ish.
Yeah, playing about that length with the wind. So what a setup by the PGA. I mean, it's one of my favorite tournaments. I thought the way they set it up on Sunday at TPC Harding Park was great. That 296 16th hole, obviously Colin Morikawa played to perfection and ended up winning. Trying to think back to Kiowa was great last year. 2019 over at Bethpage. So yeah, we've had some good PGA setups. This one might have been the toughest of the last 5 years or in recent memory, but a fun championship. Mito Pereira right there. Young guys, Cam Young, Will Zalatoris, lots of guys in the mix vying for their first PGA Tour win, which also, of course, would have been their first major. So a lot of fun this weekend. What were your takeaways?
Yeah, it was it was good to watch. Like you said, one of the tougher ones. I think it's pretty rare for the PGA to finish single digit under par. I think Kerry Higgs mentioned he likes that 10 to 12, maybe 14 under par range for the winner. But it played tough with the wind and the elements. And like you said, JT with the bad end of the draw. And I mean, I think most of the people that were in contention were on the good end of the draw. So the fact that he was even in contention was pretty insane, much less winning it. But it's interesting. JT just, it seems like some of the golfers really commit to hitting either a cut or a draw. JT truly just has both. I mean, for the last 5 or 6 holes, the control he had of his golf ball was just insane. He was like, all right, low cut drive off 18. All right, then you listen to him and Bones talk about, I want to hit this like controlled cut 6-iron into 18, executes it perfectly on the 72nd hole, puts it like 10 feet behind the hole. Didn't make the putt, but just impressive shot making from JT.
I'm glad you brought that up because I definitely wanted to talk about this a little bit. His quote following the round, he mentioned that's why he plays golf is, those shots like he hit the 8-iron into 18, flagged it, ended up right behind the pin, securing the victory for him, all but a couple of putts away. And back in 2017, from his most recent major title, the PGA Championship in 2017, that year he was playing at the Hero World Challenge alongside tournament host Tiger Woods. And he asked Tiger, what do you see? I read this article that kind of went into detail from that quote. What do you see? And Tiger laid it out for him. You're a great player, obviously, but you have one shot. And a lot of these guys on tour, they get really good at controlling kind of that stock shot, but it's changed a lot lately. I think back in the day, players used to be able to work the ball a lot more. You had crafters like, Ben Hogan's a great example. I think Colonial this week has Hogan's Alley. Wish we had Joe and Garrett to talk a little bit more about that. But Tiger Woods obviously shaped the golf ball any which way he wants. He's made famous the 9 windows. You have your low, mid, and high, and then your left to right, fade, center and draw. And just having that vision in front of you of the windows which you're hitting your shots into, I think it completes a player's game. And Justin Thomas has been working for, I would say, almost 5 years on that. And he's gotten real close to perfection using them all in this PGA Championship. I think they'll come in clutch this week here at Colonial too. And he was using them at the Byron Nelson 2 weeks ago. So he's really put all those shots into play and he grinds it out. Not a lot of people work as hard. And I can't really say anyone works harder than Justin Thomas out there. So really well deserved for him to come back. Coming from 7 shots back. I think he was 8 shots back, standing on the 10th hole or something like that this week. Crazy. And ends up winning. What a job well done for Justin Thomas. Really happy for him to pull that one out. Team Titleist gets the dub. And another week back down in Texas up at Fort Worth. So looking for him. I mean, why not a back-to-back win for JT? Could definitely see that coming.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a classic major win letdown for the next week. I mean, I know it happened. No, this wasn't a major, but it happened with Cam Smith after the Tournament of Champions. I remember I chose him the next week at the Sony. Didn't work out too well for him. But it's pretty amazing how good JT is with all the shots. I heard Max Homa say like he's the best iron player I've ever seen. His wedges, what really separates him being the wedges from 80 yards and in. I mean, he's got those soft hands. And it's like whenever I try to have those soft hands, I end up chunking it or something like that. He just clips it so clean. It really shows how hard it is to win a major in golf. Like someone as good as Justin Thomas, not having won one for the last 5 years, and him having 2 PGAs, known as, I guess, the lesser of the 4 majors. Some might say it's typically the easiest course setup, but it's crazy. I mean, he deserves it, and there's definitely more to come from him.
Yeah, I think he proved it, especially this year at Southern Hills, where the playoff was at -5. So you can't really say that's too easy at any given week. And the wind out there and the conditions, those bunkers basically all made of pebbles. So plenty tough this year at the PGA Championship. That is quite the victory for Justin Thomas. I do want to mention that, a lot of talk before the PGA Championship was about the most complete player will win at Southern Hills. And obviously a lot of attention shifts to the top 3 players of the world. They're all paired together. That was Scheffler, Rahm, and Morikawa in the same group. And Scheffler, number 1 player in the world, misses the cut. Rahm and Morikawa finished at +8 and +11 respectively. So well off of the pace there. And, you would think that those complete players, which they are, I mean, no doubt about it, that they would have been right there on the leaderboard on Sunday or nearby and just nowhere to be seen. But Justin Thomas, he's got a complete game. You have to give it to him. We were just talking about how he's shaping the shots. Tee to green, he's great. Approach, he's great. On the green or around the green, he's great. And his putting has been just as good as anyone. So he deserved that win. He played lights out on the final round. Even the 67 on Thursday and Friday, just impeccable golf. So well-deserved for Justin Thomas. Really happy for him to get that 2nd career major. I think it was his 15th PGA Tour win now too. And really cool to see. I've seen a lot of kind of comparisons between him and his competitor friend, Jordan Spieth. I mean, Jordan Spieth's got the 3 majors and 13 wins. They have a similar number of top 10s together. Just really cool to see those two who got a lot of attention early on, 4 or 5 years ago, and now kind of recirculating back to the top of the conversation with Jordan coming off a recent victory in a solo 2nd place. Obviously didn't do what he wanted to do at the PGA, but, those two are kind of right there at the top of the game right now. And I think it's good for the game of golf.
Yeah. And I just think it's crazy. Like, well, first off, the PGA having the playoff be 13, 17, 18, just fantastic. But 13, JT has to lay up on his 2nd shot. It's a reachable par 5. And I'm still insanely confident that he's going to make birdie because of those wedges that he has from 80 yards in. Like, like I don't really have that with many other players. Like Zally, I think he ended up greenside bunker or up near the green in 2. And I'm thinking JT has just as good a shot as make birdie than him. And that's just a testament to JT's wedges and the touch he has on those.
Well, yeah, I actually didn't get to see the first playoff hole. I kind of found my spot right in the middle of the second hole. But, those bunkers, there's a lot of controversy around this week. People weren't hitting the greatest touch shots out of them. So it could be argued that the better play was to the middle of the fairway somewhere laying up. And then, I didn't see where Zalatoris's ball was. If it wasn't a bunker or somewhere greenside, there could have been an awkward lie there easily. So, I would maybe trust in that situation in a playoff, going for the safe shot, having some tight fairway grass to chip off of, put yourself somewhere close as a more of a percentage play than going up to the green. But when you look at the numbers over the course of the season, the obvious play is to get the ball up near the green when you're trying to make birdie. But that's the full season at all the courses they play. That isn't in a playoff at the PGA Championship where, anything could happen. But I don't know. I think you're right. I think Justin Thomas made the right choice there, and it ended up working out for him. He made birdie par to win in the 3-hole playoff.
Yeah, I think we got to talk about the devastation for Mito. I know Faldo kind of went in on him for hitting driver on 18. And yeah, he could have hit 3-wood, maybe taken most of the creek out of play, but he just hit a bad shot. I mean, JT hit driver, Max Homa hit driver. Like a lot of people were hitting driver. It wasn't necessarily the wrong play. Just made a bad swing, high pressure moment. It is what it is. Definitely tough to see him not even make the playoff after that. It definitely felt bad for him.
Yeah, I think you're right about the high pressure moment. Probably a little bit of adrenaline got to him, making a harder swing than he needed to. I saw the clip of the swing where it looked like he didn't even really get to the follow through. He knew off the face that it was just not the swing he wanted. And he does have a pretty unique follow through like his fellow Chilean Jocko Niemann, but I don't know. I mean, that's all I saw was the clip of it on 18. Like I said, I was kind of in between spots, finishing up my own golf round and getting to a restaurant at that point. But it just didn't look like a good swing like he's been hitting all week, obviously, to get into that spot. So a feel for the guy, but he obviously held his head high and he'll be back. He's just a rookie. And I couldn't help but think personally, I don't know if you thought this at all too, but even as a rookie, if you have a chance to win a major, it's easy to say, okay, well, I've been here. I'm a rookie. I'll have plenty more opportunities. But also in your head, are you a little bit like, wow, that could be my best chance ever. I mean, I'm a rookie, but I had that chance. You never want to see a major slip out of anyone's hands.
100%. I mean, just like we talked about how hard it is to win a major, even someone as good as Justin Thomas had a 5-year gap in between his, and he still only has 2. And there's plenty of players that only have 1, and there's plenty that never won a major. And even like some of the premier golf talents for the last 10, 15, let's say Rory, how many does Rory have? Like 4?
He's got 4 since 2014.
Yeah, like, so it just shows how hard it can do. Even if you're a rookie, when you're up there, you're definitely thinking, dang, I should have taken advantage of that opportunity because I might not get back here again. 100%. I mean, of course was playing hard. I think there was only 11 or 12 people that finished under par.
I think it was 11. That sounds right to me.
Yeah, I think just on Southern Hills in general, a good looking course. Bunkers look cool. I was hearing a lot about these runoffs and crazy undulations of the green. Maybe it didn't come through on TV. Didn't see as much of that as I was expecting.
And I wonder if not cutting the greens had something to do with that.
Yeah, there was some uproar about the greens being a little slower. The wind conditions caused that decision to not cut the greens. Definitely could have played in. Just seems like there weren't that many, like I didn't see too many shots that were hit, and it was like, and just saw them like trickle off slowly, like just slow, painful death of rolling off the front of the green. Yeah, I was expecting more of that.
Didn't notice much of that either. Augusta plays way more into that, and we heard comparisons of Southern Hills to an Augusta or a Kapalua, but I would say it's closer to Kapalua than Augusta just based on that fact alone. But it's a
Definitely.
great country club. If you're a member there, I can only imagine how much fun it is to play there year round. Pretty
Yeah.
sweet. But yeah, Southern Hills, I always am going to think it's pretty awesome just because it's a site where Tiger had won a major. I'm not the biggest fan of Tulsa, Oklahoma for personal reasons. Got in a little minor car accident there, so had to skate my way through with a fender problem. But hey, nothing against the place and the people. I'm sure they're all great, but that's my own personal story there. So Southern Hills kind of revitalized Tulsa as a place for me. So again, giving Oklahoma a second chance, I thought it did a great job, and really happy for the venue as a host. I mean, they had the senior major there. They just obviously hosted the PGA. So happy for Southern Hills, happy for the Oklahomans, and really happy for Justin Thomas to be able to secure that second major. Like you said, a 5-year drought since 2017. A lot of talk on Rory. It's been 8 years since he's won a major. He obviously got himself that early lead, which he's lacked a lot of times. He's usually been known to finish stronger in majors and kind of miss out on the beginning. This was the opposite for him. He was critical of the course. I saw Pat Gazire was really critical of the course in an Instagram story. So, for the
Terrell
people
Hatton.
that struggled. Yeah, Terrell
Always
Hatton.
critical. Well, it's interesting, right? And this, of course, was not talked about or mentioned, but Southern Hills was not even supposed to be hosting this PGA.
That's right.
I think when Gil Hans and I forget what his first name is, it Andy Wagner, something like that. When they did this redesign, they didn't know it was going to be for a PGA. I mean,
That's right.
Trump Bedminster was supposed to host this PGA, and then of course we all know what happened with that. They took it away from him, and that was never mentioned. But this was supposed to be at Bedminster this year.
That's right. The redesign with Gil Hans was 2018, I believe, and then events that unfolded early in 2020 are named as the reasons why they took the PGA away from Trump Bedminster. But yeah, you're totally right about that. So this is a little bit of a different course than Tiger saw when he won in 2007. And that's an interesting fact. I didn't even really think about that. This course was not even considered until less than 2 years ago. So a lot to unfold there. I don't really even know what to think to get right into that, but
yeah, it's interesting. And if we want to touch on Tiger, obviously disappointing is withdraw. I mean, he must be, for someone like Tiger to withdraw, must be in some serious pain. I think it's just kind of reality for us fans. I mean, he walked around Augusta. He looked like he was in pain at Augusta too, but this was obviously worse. Forced him to withdraw. I think we all thought it was only going to get better from Augusta. And this is kind of a reality check for us fans that it's going to kind of be a crapshoot every time he goes out there and sees how he feels. Because you think if he didn't withdraw at Augusta, then he wouldn't have to withdraw at Southern Hills. But of course, I don't know if he tweaked something or just stepped on it wrong one day. There are a few videos out there. But at least for me personally, kind of going to tamper my expectations a little bit going forward. Always still have good amount of confidence in Tiger, but coming into this week, I was expecting good things from him. And then for the leg to go south like it did, just a little bit of a reality check for me personally.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we all have to reel our expectations. Augusta, obviously, with the 77 over the weekend or whatever it was, still finished T47. A little bit of a different field at Augusta than it is at the PGA. But, he got out to a really hot start in his first round. He got to -2 really quickly, and then, finished that front nine at even and ended up, 4 over par in the first round. Shot 1 under in the second round. So, I mean, through 2 rounds at +3 at the PGA Championship, inside the cut line, feeling pretty good. And I think he probably was too. But that Saturday round, shooting +9, 79. So he did fight to stay under 80, which was a good fight. But you're right. There was plenty of videos out there with him taking missteps that looked like he was grimacing pretty bad. And I don't know what kind of pain level he is or he was in at that time, but I did hear that plenty of his team members and people around him were saying, don't risk the injury. Let's just, let's go home and refocus and see what we need to do. But I don't know if it was more so just being smart for the future, or if it was he was in really bad pain, or somewhere right down the middle. But hoping for the best for Tiger. Hopefully he can get out to the US Open at Brookline over in my backyard. But if not, a lot of talk has been about St. Andrews since before we even knew he was going to play the Masters. This is months and months on end that we've been talking about Tiger at St. Andrews, the home of golf, 150th Open. But my main concern is that it's the cold weather that does it for him. And, he played great in the first 2 rounds where he was wearing a shirt, no long sleeves, no nothing. It wasn't too cold. It wasn't windy. But that 3rd round really got to him. And maybe that's because it's, 36 to 54th hole, but maybe it's mostly because of the cold weather. And that's my concern going across the pond, where you can always get some inclement weather in July. But, I don't know. I right now, my belief is that there's a better chance for him to play the US Open at Brookline than there is for the Open at St. Andrews. Although I could totally see him skipping the US Open in favor of the Open, but I think he's going to be taking a good hard look at the forecast before making this trip across the pond.
Yeah, I expect to see him at both. You bring up a good point with the cold weather. I mean, nobody talks about the back anymore, but it's been surgically repaired multiple times. So back still could be an issue, rotation in the cold weather, whatever it might be. I expect to see him at both. That's just the type of competitor he is. But like I said, just expectations are being tampered a little bit.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Before the start of the PGA Championship, I fully expected him to get through the 4 rounds. As we all said on the podcast last week, thought that he would do better than T47, and I looked like he was on his way. When he made the cut, I thought he had a good chance to do that. But then the 3rd round just changed everything for us as fans. And before the PGA Championship, I was thinking, hey, maybe, he might get out to the Memorial Jacks tournament. Maybe he finds a way to play 1 or 2 more. I don't really think he would be inside the 130 for the FedEx Cup playoffs, but, maybe he finds a couple of tournaments to get himself in, just to get a little bit of that competitive edge back, try to build something to be more competitive at the Open. But if he's just going to play the 4 majors, we really shouldn't have high hopes for now. I mean, just be happy to watch him playing out there. Like I said, I would rather watch Tiger shoot a 79 than most of the guys shoot a 68. That's just how I feel about Tiger Woods. He's more fun to watch than most of the guys on tour normal weeks. But, I'm a big fan of the PGA Tour in general. I watch weekly when Tiger was, resting in bed. And I've got favorites like Spieth and Rory that I love to watch too. But, when Tiger's playing, when he's on TV, that's where my attention goes. And, I have no ill feelings for any of the players on tour. That's just how it is. We're seeing the end of Tiger Woods, and I want to see as much as possible as I can while I can. But I did enjoy watching some of the young guys get their chance at the top of the leaderboard at the PGA. A few years ago, maybe I would have said, oh, I'm not even really interested in, 3 rookies and old Bubba Watson. But now, I'm happy for everyone that gets their chance. I love watching. I love just the competition out there. It's really strong right now. I think a lot of young guys are making the game really good in general. So yeah, happy for everyone. But like I said, Tiger Woods stands alone in my book.
Yeah, the field's never been deeper. There's never been more guys that have a chance to win. But let's talk about your boy Rory. Jumps out to a hot start on Thursday with a 65. Honestly, could have been way lower. That's just how good he was hitting it. Everyone's like, oh, this is Rory's week. Jumped to some conclusions and fires 1 over par 71 on Friday with the quote unquote better end of the draw.
Puts himself, we saw 5 back then, right?
Low scores that day. Yeah, like Mito shot a 64, Cam Young 67, Zally 65, JT 67. I mean, the scoring was out there. He could have extended his lead, really put his foot on the gas. Of course, had the 74 on Saturday, which pretty much took him out of it. But thoughts from you as a Rory diehard. What are you thinking when you saw? I don't want to call it a collapse, but he had the lead. He had the lead at one point, and he did not play well going into the last 3 days.
Well, he finished strong. He had 4 birdies in a row, followed by a bogey on Sunday in the front 9. He needed a little bit more than that, but he was. Did he finish -1 or -2?
He shot a 68. Yeah, so -2 overall, -2 on Sunday as well.
Yeah, so he was 3 shots off the playoff, following a 74 on Saturday and a 1 over 71 on Friday. So bookend Thursday and Sunday, good rounds from Rory, and did what he needed to do in those 2 rounds. Unfortunately, didn't have it all in the middle of the week. So those Friday and Saturday rounds really did kill him in the end. Amazing to think he still only finished 3 shots off the playoff, but he made a run, and I think he's close. There's a lot of pressure on him. 8 years is a long time for a guy of Rory's stature to go without a major. It kind of makes you understand a little bit what's going on with Brooks Koepka right now. Everyone thought, and myself included, when he got 4 majors in 2 years or 2.5 years, was it even a full 2.5 years? It was damn near a year and a half. But either way, he jumped out to 4 majors really fast and then has cooled off since. So it's hard to win majors. We've been over that. And I think Rory will absolutely get another one. I still think he's got plenty of time to win a few more.
Definitely.
Yeah, 7 would be an elite number of majors. He's at 4. So I think he's already put himself in one of the greatest of all time. Somehow, Brooks Koepka will be considered one of the greatest major players of all time. But, he deserves it. Winning 4 majors is hard to do. We've seen Jordan Spieth, a generational player, have 3, and it's hard to get that 4th. He should have 4th with that 2016 Masters. Justin Thomas should have a few more. But Rory McIlroy, he's a different type of player. I do think, which I saw somewhere, that, he ever since he started to really gain a lot of muscle and a lot of speed, he's been more erratic. So maybe these last few years, that's part of the problem. But I would like to see him just kind of maintain a fluid swing, not try to think too much over the greens and with the wedges, because that's probably where he's losing the most strokes, is from 125 and in.
Yeah, and that's where we're talking about JT excelling.
Exactly, and it's the scoring
the opposite for Rory.
Yeah, so I do think Rory will eventually get another major, probably sooner than we think. I would love to see it happen at the US Open.
I want him to get the green jacket more than anything.
Yeah, I'm just talking about with chances he has left this year.
Oh yeah, true. I just, man, at Augusta, man, do I want him to win Augusta. I think the thing about Rory, right, is, and what got everybody so excited after round 1 was he was having horrible starts on Thursdays, right? Exactly. And then he jumps out to the lead on Thursday, and everyone's like, oh, he's going to do what Rory does the next 3 days. And it just didn't quite happen. I mean, like you said, 68 on Sunday, kind of similar to his Masters run, where if Scotty didn't have an epic week, he could have had his green jacket then. But a lot of chasing from behind for Rory and coming close, and I know him as himself included, everyone expects him to jump out and get those majors. Yeah, so I mean, 2 of my favorite players, like we mentioned, Rory and Spieth, have great expectation on them, and I think that just sort of comes with the territory of having 3 of the 4 legs of the career Grand Slam covered. Everyone wants to see Jordan Spieth win a PGA. Everyone wants to see Rory win the Masters, and I feel like they have trouble winning any majors because they might be too focused on all the talk around winning that one that they need. I really was shocked more by Jordan Spieth coming out and finishing at 34th place and well over par, I think +4 finish after a win and a solo second, than I was to see Rory, finish in that top 10 spot, but choke on Friday and Saturday. I know if Joe was here right now, he'd be calling him Chokeroy, but you can't really fault a 65 and a 68 on Thursday and Sunday. It was playing tough, and he got the bad end of it on Friday and Saturday, but I think a few bounces here and there. It's kind of Phil with the US Open situation, right? Everyone wants to see him complete that career Grand Slam. And so the expectation for him going into every US Open was even higher than all the other majors he played in. So just
And,
comes with the territory of being one of the greats.
and we can talk about that now with Justin Thomas a little bit. I would have liked to see him get one of the other three majors
Definitely.
to get his second leg, but
St. Andrews.
St. Andrews would be great. And, you got to have that low bullet, that stinger, and he can sling it too. So
Yeah.
what do you think? One last question on the Rory topic. Does Rory get his next major? I won't even say completing the slam. Does Rory get a major, or Rory or Jordan Spieth get a major next?
I would go Rory. I think that's a very good question. And I think there's not really a wrong answer. I would just go Rory. I just feel more comfortable with his swing right now. I mean, I know Spieth's stats are good, striking the ball tee to green, but it just doesn't look great. I mean, I don't like the pre-shot routine. I'm getting used to it. I don't like it, but for some reason, my gut is just telling me Rory, but Spieth wouldn't shock me at all.
No, I mean, he's won each of the last 2 years now, and obviously was very close to winning at the Byron Nelson 2 weeks ago. Last year at Colonial, as we kind of shift gears towards that, he came in second place with a very good chance to win there. He already is a past champion. Was it 2015 or 20? I think it was 2016 he won there. But yeah, these last two majors are going to be pretty good. I think we've already got two awesome champions in Scotty Scheffler at the Masters and JT at the PGA. I fully expect some big names to follow up and win a US Open and the British Open later this year. So excited to see who will complete this year's major winners. But
Definitely.
I want to talk a little bit about what happened today before we
Hold on. We're not done with the PGA. We have to talk Zally. We have to talk JT's playoff companion.
Okay.
The dude is showing up at majors. I mean,
What
it's
is it
only
now?
a matter of time before not only does he win a major, but he wins a PGA Tour event. The guy is just a ball striking guru, shows up at every course. His game translates to every course. I know the putting looks bad, but he makes it work somehow. If he would have putted a little better on Sunday, I mean, that was an easy win for him. He missed some shorties, but the guy's there. And
So
his story is incredible.
a couple of things there. One, the putting stroke. That's a big topic. There's some ugly views of his
Yeah.
putting stroke, but
It
obviously
hurt.
he's PGA Tour player. So what am I really to say? He's plenty good at putting if he's coming that close in majors. But the stroke, there's some quirky looking videos. That's all I can say on that.
Yeah.
Two, what is it? 6 top tens in like less than 10 tries at majors, something crazy. I mean,
Absurd.
his numbers are there. He will absolutely win a major probably soon. And three, can he get it done this week? Can he get a PGA Tour victory at the Charles Schwab, Fort Worth?
Definitely 100. I mean, he can 100%. Like, I got all the confidence in the world when it comes to Zally. Like, I take him top 20 almost every week. Always have him my DraftKings. Just a big Zally fan. The guy puts on a stripe show every single time he steps out on the course.
How did we miss him in our 20 picks between the four of us last week?
I mean, the fields are just so deep. I know hindsight's 2020, but you go through the field and it's like, oh, like Brooks, quote unquote, Mr. Major, who I'm relinquishing that title from Brooks after the last couple of majors he's had. But the fields are just so deep. I mean, yeah, Zally probably should have been picked given his track record, but you go through the power rankings, you go through the Vegas odds, and it's like you got Morikawa, you got Rahm, you got like DJ who missed a cut, you got just all these powerhouse players. There's always going to be a few that are left out.
And I make a little bit of an exception for myself for having my first opportunity to get my three favorite players and in a major. I normally would never pick even two players that are paired together on Thursday and Friday because it's, not so often that two players will really go low on those first two rounds when they're playing in the same group. But it was an exception. I had to have Tiger, Rory, and Spieth all together at least once in my life, and I got them in a major. So that was awesome. Obviously, Tiger cost me a lot of strokes at the end of the week. That's okay. I'll live with it. But my fifth pick was Tony Finau, and I think he was second in scoring for my team of 5 behind Rory. So, I was fine with the pick, but I immediately, after we closed the laptop and started uploading the podcast, I was thinking, should I text these guys right now and try to switch out for Zalatoris? And,
Wow.
that's just, be it how it may, Zalatoris ends up in a playoff. I don't really think it would have changed anything. Maybe I would have gotten 3rd place instead of 4th, but yeah, I mean, it wasn't going to take me anywhere. But we have some controversy in our game right now. I think there will be some changes. We'll talk a little bit about that more later. I want to just mention 2 bets I made, and I'm sure you have a couple of plays you made, but the cut line at 144.5, I chose under, and ended up being right at 144.
Wow.
And the lowest 18-hole score was at 64.5. I took the under for that, and Mito got his 64 on Friday. So those are 2 plays I was happy to win.
Bubba 63 too.
Oh yeah, and Bubba had the 63 on Friday as well.
Had the PGA record.
Friday got that one done for me, but 2 plays that I was happy to see, and somehow Vegas was right on the number for them both. But
always,
yeah, they always are. So that was exciting to see. I also think.
How about Cam Young? It's probably someone that your average golf fan does not know, but the guy's here and he's here to stay. Absolutely. He hits it almost as good as anybody. He's got the Hideki pause at the top. He's been on a heck of a run tournaments. He's proven that his game shows up at pretty much any course.
He's a rookie, right? Buying for that Rookie of the Year.
Yep. I mean, he was there at Riviera. He was there at Southern Hills. Like, he's showing up on these hard courses.
Yep.
When you hit it that good. When you hit it that good.
Worthy of the conversation. Well, we are 2 majors in on the 2022 season, barreling towards August already. I mean, I hate to say that because it's so early into the summer. It's barely even summer, really, especially up in the Northeast. I want to stay as long as we can, but we are getting there. I mean, 2 of the majors are complete. We have 2 champions, and we have a couple of months left until we'll have all 4, and then it's the FedEx Cup playoffs all of a sudden. So the race for FedEx Cup points is fully on. We have a conversation going for Rookie of the Year. I'm pretty sure that Scotty Scheffler's got Player of the Year locked in, but those conversations are starting to heat up. We're getting close, and things need to start happening for some players. So I would love to take a look. I saw something that was very interesting. Ryder Cup rankings for the U.S. team. Obviously, a year and a half until that really becomes a thing, but Jordan Spieth's name was not even on the list, and that didn't make sense to me at all.
Yeah, I don't really understand how the points work too much, but he's obviously, assuming he's healthy and in decent form, he's pretty much a lock for a captain's pick. But it'll be interesting. I mean, you got Sam Burns, you got Zalatoris, you got all these guys that were not picked for the last team that are having sensational seasons and don't look like they're going to be slowing down at all. And I mean, you got guys like Finau, who's not in the best of form right now, who was on last year's team, who could be replaced. I mean, Harris English is hurt. Who knows how he's going to come back. Daniel Berger was on the team. He's playing good. It's not worthy of being removed, but that's just how absolutely stacked the U.S. team is.
And we have the President's Cup coming up this year, so it'll be interesting to see who the picks are for that, because we're going to start hearing about that pretty soon too, as we were talking about the awards. The President's Cup, it's a big deal. So plenty of international stars and plenty of American stars. Going to make that a fun one from Quail Hollow later this year. But I do want to bring up the national championship for women's golf today. Grayhawk, Arizona, Scottsdale playing host to 3 years worth of national championships for college golf, women's and men's, last year, this year, and then next year. I think it's a pretty good site for it. They play at the Raptor course. You and me have both played there. A lot of fun. It's good desert golf. It's hot out there. I think it's, averaging 95 to 100 degrees these days. And the women just wrapped up today. The men will get started next week. So excited to see that. I'm pulling for ASU. I think Oregon got themselves in as well for the men's side. But more recently, finishing up today, Stanford versus Oregon in the women's final, an epic match. Both had great semifinals against Auburn for Stanford, and Oregon played, was it Texas A&M?
Yep.
So a couple of good Pac-12 teams wrapping things up for the women's college golf season from Scottsdale, Arizona. And it was a great match. It ended it with the anchor match. Rose Zhang pulled it out, the individual national champion, freshman. She is the amateur number 1 in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So, she's got the complete resume. She looks like a pro golfer. Everything about her game is complete. Unbelievable altogether. Her and Rachel Heck. Rachel Heck didn't have her best stuff. I didn't even know until today, but she has been out since the day after the Augusta National Women's Amateur. She was diagnosed with mono, so that took her out. She's only played 1 competitive round before this national championship tournament got started. But really fun to watch. Those women went out and battled in the 95-degree heat and made it a lot of fun from the Golf Channel today. I'm going to have to be watching a lot more women's college golf in the future because, man, are they good.
Yeah, it was impressive. I mean, like you said, both of us have played that course. I can honestly say it's one of the hardest courses I've ever played. I mean, desert golf is often hard for amateurs in general, just because you pretty much can't miss the fairway. But it's really the green complexes at the Raptor course that get you. There's a lot of runoffs. A lot of the landing areas are sloped. So for any amateur golfer, it's insanely tough. I think I shot like a 95 or something, and I'm like a 6 handicap or so. So that shows how difficult it is. So it's really impressive to see these women college golfers go out there and just tear it up. I think Rose Zhang finished -6 in the individual competition to take that title, and to do that over a multiple day stretch is pretty impressive. I saw her today. I think it was on 13 or something. The Oregon golfer put it tight on this par 4, and Rose Zhang has a fairway bunker shot from 180 and puts it even inside her. Like it was ridiculous. She's just so good. She's hitting all the 4 and 5 footers. No nerves out there. She's the real deal. And for Stanford to have the back-to-back number 1 amateur and women's amateur champions on their team, it's pretty tough to go against. And pretty impressive for my alma mater, Oregon, to make it to the championship match and give Stanford a run for their money. Went down to the 17th hole against the number 1 amateur, and so definitely an impressive showing from Oregon this week.
Yeah, gotta give it up to Oregon getting to that final match. They gotta hold their heads high. They definitely have a lot to look forward to as a program. I think they'll be back. I know you could talk a little bit more about what they're building up at Oregon. Our friend Matt Lockie likes to send me videos all the time about the new complex that they have going in for a golf program. But ASU missed out, my alma mater. They missed out by a couple of strokes in the team competition. They finished in 9th, and the top 8 teams moved on to the match play. So unfortunate for them, the host team down there in Scottsdale, to miss out on that. But really, I think Stanford was a freight train this year. The individual champion Rachel Heck last year, and then this year's individual champion bringing up the caboose. So they were just a complete team, and even the first 3 players to go off, they all were solid. So tough final round in that epic match play finish. Stanford bringing home the W, their 2nd in program history. I did want to give a nod to No Laying Up on their production for the week in the life of the Stanford women's golf. Just a phenomenal video from front to back. It's about 1 hour and 20 minutes. Find it on YouTube, week in the life, Stanford women's golf. Everything about it was just great. They followed them up to a tournament near Sacramento at Del Paso Country Club, where they set NCAA and program record shooting -50 over 54 holes. Just phenomenal golf played by all 5 of their contributing team members. And Rachel Heck, who shot a course record 63 -9, followed up on that same day, 36 holes on the first day, with a -9 and a -4. So she was 13 under through 36 holes. I mean, these girls are just playing good. Rachel Heck, Rose Zhang, look for them. Their names will be on the LPGA tour. I can guarantee that. and it's fun. I think I say a lot is, women's golf is a lot more comparable to an amateur single digit handicap or men's golf. I'm not in no way saying that we are as good or better than them, but the yardages and distances seem to make a little bit more sense. Swing speed makes a little bit more sense and stuff of that nature. So I personally would 100% attest to saying watching women's golf, college women's golf is a lot of fun, and I would love to see it get more attention, as it should.
Yeah, and the championship's just a great format. Everybody loves match play. It's super exciting to watch. A little bit of a rules. I don't think controversy is the right way, and ultimately I don't think it decided the match. But this is something the announcer said they'd never seen, and we might never see it again. But the Oregon player somehow, I don't know what hole, ran over Rose Zhang's ball with her push cart and was assessed a 1-stroke penalty on the 17th hole as she was greenside, needing to pretty much chip in for birdie to extend the match. So that pretty much ended the match. I think Rose was going to close it out regardless, but that is a ruling that I've never seen. A lot of these announcers that have been in golf for a long time have never seen, and we may never see again, because golf push carts aren't used that often for competitive golf.
Yeah, I wish they would have talked a little bit more about it on the broadcast, what exactly happened, or maybe showed a replay of it if they happen to have caught the film there. But yeah, weird situation there. I saw the stroke counter go from 3 to 4 while she was standing over her chip from in front of the green. And I think if that stroke was not assessed, there's plenty of good chance for her to get up and down, and maybe Rose Zhang does not. But in the end, Rose needed 3 putts from, I don't know, probably 40 feet or more. And then the Oregon player ended up missing a relatively short or makeable putt that would have, forced Rose to make her putt. And Rose ended up needing 3 putts from 8 feet, or having 3 putts from 8 feet to win the match. And she sunk it. So she made her par outright, and it was over, like you said, but it could have made things interesting. And an even better point is what you said, is the Oregon player's ball landed at the top of the slope, and if it would have gotten over, she would have had a better chance, or at least a decent look at making a birdie putt. And Rose was off to the right, and her shot into the green, and it came barreling back, but not all the way off the green. So she 2-putted from good distance to make her par. Rose Zhang did, and win the national championship for her team. But it could have been interesting, and Oregon certainly made a run. Stanford won the first 2 points, and then Oregon came back to win the next 2. We had a 2-2 match going into the 17th hole for the anchor group, and they ended right there on that green. But great match. Pac-12 golf has got to be really happy for Oregon, happy for Stanford. Wish ASU would have been in the fold, but maybe this next week. I think we have both our teams competing. I'm not sure. Stanford should be there too for the men's. They've got a couple of really solid players in Michael Thorbjornsen and Carl Phillips. Carl's got a great little YouTube channel where he does a lot of his round highlights and footage. So definitely check that out if you haven't. I think it's cool. All Carl. Michael Thorbjornsen, I think he's a Massachusetts guy. I've seen his name in the Massachusetts Amateur. So a couple of good guys to watch at Stanford. ASU, we have David Pooge, Cameron Sisk, who's a graduating senior, Mason Anderson, a graduating senior, James Leoka, and you also will see Preston Summerhays, who's a freshman, and trying to think of one other player. He's also a Spaniard. I think he's a freshman or a sophomore, but some good players from ASU will be holding their own this week coming up at Grayhawk, hoping to get into that top 8 match play and see what they can make happen. I believe Oregon made its way in there too. Is that right? I think they
they got through the Stockton regional.
Yep. So both ASU and Oregon coming through from the Stockton regional. I want to say Stanford should be in that top 25 during the
and you got to think Texas is there, right? They got like a bunch of the top players.
I think that the twins, is it the Cootie twins? Are they twins? I think
they got the Cootie twins, Cole Hammer,
Cole Hammer, great player.
That university ranking where the top 8 automatically get Korn and Ferry status or whatever it is. Like Texas has at least 2 or 3 guys in that.
Usually, I know Goddard Sam Bennett's one of them. So I think Oklahoma has a couple guys.
Yeah, the Texas A&M guy's always up there too. Is that Sam Bennett?
I think Bennett's A&M. Yeah.
Yeah.
Georgia, good team. So there'll be some good teams. This is going to be a lot of fun to watch coming up this next week at Grayhawk for the men's national championship. Some big names to look out for there. Some names you will see on the PGA Tour. And moving right along into the Charles Schwab at Colonial. I know we talked a lot about the national championship going on this week from Grayhawk. We definitely dove in to the PGA Championship from last week. I think we would have left a lot more time for the Colonial, the Charles Schwab Challenge, if we had our Texans, Garrett and Joe, with us tonight. They recently played there for Joe's birthday in March. So just about 2 months ago to the day. They know a lot more about the course, and maybe next week we'll get a little bit of a recap, talk about some of the things. The one thing I will mention, as they put into the group chat, Joe did get a birdie on number 9. So anybody that doesn't birdie 9 is technically worse than Joe. We'll see how that holds up. You know, I just want to see if that's just a total birdie hole and they end up going like minus 300 on the hole as a whole tour. So we'll see, but who knows? You know, it could be a tough hole, and maybe Joe got one on the field there. We'll see. Hogan's Alley is out there. You know, some past champions in the field. Jordan Spieth has a great record there. And with me being the first pick, I'm just going to throw it out there right now. Jordan Spieth's coming to my squad.
Nice.
So why not dive right in? I think we have power rankings for these guys, unless they can submit some picks to us before the players that they want go off. But we're going to hold them down with the power rankings order for the picks that they missed. But the order this week is going to be myself, Willie, Joe, and Garrett to round things out. 3 picks each for the Charles Schwab. Sound about right?
Yeah, that sounds right. Something interesting that I wanted to note is immediately following this tournament, Colonial will be going through a full revamp by actually Gil Hansen. I think it's actually Jim Wagner.
Wow.
The same guys that did Southern Hills. And so that starts right away. And they want it to be ready for the next year. So I was actually listening to Gil Hansen's podcast, and he said this is really the only course revamp that has kept him up, because I guess grass doesn't really grow past Thanksgiving in Texas. So he pretty much needs to have everything done before Thanksgiving and grown out. So they're trying to kind of fit this revamp in a small window, but it's interesting that we might be seeing not necessarily a new, but an updated Colonial in the next tournament.
And that's interesting to say. I watched a Colonial documentary. I think it was No Laying Up as well, where, you know,
with the Hickories.
No, it wasn't the Hickories. I think they might not have even been No Laying Up, but they went and kind of talked a little bit more to the staff and learned a little bit more about the background of the tournament itself. So I would love to find out exactly what I'm talking about, but they got some good information out of the staff there, the director of golf operations, and you know, some of the members that they talked to. But they struggle to get enough money every year to kind of host the event, and it's been there. It's the longest standing event on tour in the same location. I think the Texas Open has one of the longest standing events, but it's moved venues. So longest standing venue, I believe, in PGA Tour golf. So they've been fighting hard to not get it moved, and it sounds like they're going to, you know, kind of make that happen with a revamp of the course with Gil Hansen, Jim Wagner. But I'm happy to hear that. And another cool note is the winner of this tournament gets a Firebird, a Schwab Firebird. So that's a cool little prize. They get a nice little jacket. It's a cool trophy, and they get their names on the wall of champions. So good stuff for the winner this week. A classic tournament, one that Ben Hogan has a lot to do with in the home state of Texas. A lot of fun. A lot of players would say it's one of their favorite weeks on tour. I'm really excited for this one, got to say.
Yeah. Interesting little tidbit is the superintendent there was actually the old superintendent at Dablo Country Club, which is a local country club that we grew up around in Danville, California. And Dablo actually just did a full redesign of their 18 holes under his watch before he headed over to Colonial. So the superintendent definitely has some experience in redesigning golf courses.
And to that point, I got to say, Diablo looks great. We got to play it once earlier this year when I was back home in the Bay Area, but we've certainly been out there a number of times each before the redesign, and Diablo's, a very special place in my heart. It's sort of where I fell in love with the game of golf and really got to get out, sneaking out, playing a few holes or going out to play the full course was always a treat anytime you got to play it. And I really do like what they did around the greens, especially. I think that's sort of the major renovation that they did is allowing more runoffs, allowing areas where you can get creative around the greens, some more undulation. And that was my favorite part of the redesign that I noticed in the one time playing it since.
Yep. Yep. Well, should we get into some picks? I know you got Spieth. Anything else you want to say on that? Pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, I like the Spieth play here. He's had a good pass at Colonial, obviously a win. It's sort of a home game. It's a little bit outside of his native Dallas, but close enough to feel comfortable and sleep in his own bed. Some good, like 8 top 15s there and a couple of runner-ups. So I like Spieth here, hoping he can get close. If not, maybe lock in another win.
Yep. Sounds good. Up to me. A little torn on this pick. Two guys that I really want, but I'm just gonna keep it simple. Go with Scotty Scheffler, local kid, #1 player in the world. No, he just missed the cut. Still got some confidence in him. Would have to see a pretty good drop off in the next couple of tournaments for me to lose confidence in him. Just gonna keep it simple. Go with the #1 player in the world.
I don't think that the PGA Championship's anything to worry about. I think Scotty Scheffler's going to finish pretty well this week. He's also, like Spieth, at home, sleeping in his own bed. He'll be comfortable. He'll come out ready to play. Also finish probably top 10 or, finished pretty high at the Byron Nelson. So I like Scheffler's chances. And then coming with the power rankings picks with Joe and then Garrett, it seems to make perfect sense. Joe getting Zalatoris, a Bay Area transplant to Dallas, spending a lot of time in Dallas. So he's comfortable there too. Joe and a Dallas player seems to make sense to me. So Zalatoris will be the third pick to Joe. And we talked a lot about Zalatoris earlier. He's got to be itching for that first PGA Tour win. I think there's a good chance he could get it done this week coming off of the playoff defeat. And then G with the fourth pick is going to get his boy Titleist gang, JT. Also just makes perfect sense for the first round. I think these guys got to be pretty happy and will end up sticking with this pick. I know Garrett won't give up JT. If he does, then, hey, hands up, that's on me. But I think JT's sticking with Garrett, and I'd be shocked if Joe gives up Zally. Back to the top, though, we go. Ooh, the next player that falls in line in the power rankings is Morikawa. I do like that. Let's see. Yeah, I think I will go that route. I think it's a ball shaping paradise down there at Colonial. I think you need to be a good iron player, and I know Colin Morikawa can be just that. So like the Scheffler pick, I'm not really going to look too deep into what happened at the PGA Championship. I'm going to go with a good, strong player who is top 3 in the world. Actually, he might have fallen to 4th after this week, but top 5 in the world. I'm going to go with Morikawa.
Nice. You're going to go with a player that just had such a good year and a half, 2 years or so. Sam Burns, just
like it.
Such a solid player. Next in the power rankings as well. So gonna use him. They're gonna pick Sam Burns for my second pick.
So then we go to Brian Harmon for the third pick at the 7th spot in the power rankings. I think Joe has picked him in the past. So, this one might stick as well, but if he wants to make a change, he is welcome to do so before that player tees off tomorrow morning. But Brian Harmon, 10th appearance at this event. Recently got himself qualified for the US Open, so he's feeling good with that. And 6 top 25s at Colonial since 2015 is a pretty good stat to go off of. Brian Harmon's that second pick for Mr. Joe.
Nice. And G, looks like G's getting Sung Jae, who he's picked before, so I think he'll be pretty happy with that. Kind of a bummer. He had to get stuck in Korea for the PGA. Couldn't get back out of the country since he got COVID. They got really strict rules on whether you can leave the country once you've tested positive for the virus. But I think G's going to be pretty happy with that pick.
I think so too. And at this point, G is the commissioner's favorite in terms of short names. So we love that. We always love the short names on a list. Doesn't take up too much time when I'm creating a little Instagram post there. And, oddly enough, I don't typically pick from the power rankings, but I'm going to go right along with the train here and pick Max Homa. He's obviously playing well. I love that he finished T13 at the PGA, a recent victory at the Wells Fargo. He is unfazed and in his zone as the power ranking state. So I'm loving the Max Homa pick here. Pretty solid team that I'm happy with. Spieth, Morikawa, and Homa.
Yeah, I'm going to deviate from the power rankings. I mean, he's mentioned down below. Guy that played well at the Byron up at TPC Craig Ranch. He was in it till the end. Also is a Colonial Country Club member and noted Texan, Ryan Palmer.
Love the Palmer play.
Expect him to play well at his home course. Sleeping in your own bed's always nice too. I mean, this is just a place he's got to know like the back of his hand.
Yeah, I really don't think you can ever go wrong picking Ryan Palmer in the state of Texas. That's just a fact. Well, this is a little bit, was the word divine, I guess, somehow working out for Mr. Joe here, but he's a big Abe Answer fan, and that's the next up in line on the power rankings. So Joe's got to be pretty happy with at least 2 of these 3 picks. If he makes a switch, I would think maybe it'd be for Harmon, but we'll see tomorrow morning before things kick off if he ends up going in a different direction. But Joe is rounding out his team with Zalatoris, Harmon, and now Abe Answer.
Nice. Yeah, he'll like that. It could be the move. That's his boy.
Could be the move. And G, I could see him maybe switching this one up, but I do think that, there's some reason to believe that Woodland is deserving of this 11th spot in the power rankings. He's a good ball striker, can keep the ball low, and you kind of need to be able to hit those iron shots around this place, I think. So 4th appearance at the tournament, placed 9th in 2020, T14 in 21. So, you take a 14th place for your last pick if you can do that or better this week. So looking for Gary Woodland. We'll see if Joe sticks with that one or not. That one, unfortunately, does not fall into the short name guide for the commissioner here, but, two name players, or 2-letter players, I should say, followed by Woodland for Mr. G, JT, M, and Woodland.
Nice. Should be a great tournament. Looking forward to it. Always love seeing them play a classic country club.
Yeah, Colonial Country Club, longest standing venue on the PGA Tour. Love to see that. Really happy that Joe and Garrett got to get out with Grandpa Joe and play that this year. Awesome time, sure. And cool that the Diablo superintendent has moved down there. It feels like a little bit of a personal connection for all of us. But yeah, really looking forward to the Charles Schwab Challenge from Colonial Country Club in Fort Worth, Texas this week. Maybe Joe will be able to get out there again like he did on Sunday at the Byron. We'll see. Stay tuned for that. And stay tuned. We'll see if we have any changes to these selections, power rankings picks for Joe and G, our local Texans. And also follow up next week as we get inside details from players that played the course or from guys who have played the course, our 19th fairway crew, Joe and G. See a little bit about their insights and how things shake up at the Colonial Country Club for the Fort Worth Invitational, it used to be, but the Charles Schwab Challenge. Stay tuned and we'll see you guys next time.